Hello, I'm Mac Big Ice Skis, and this is a video about using the fill tool in Krita and making it so it's quick and easy to fill if you don't want to go in and do the coloring yourself by hand. Okay, so the first thing is you can see I have two pieces of similar line art on my screen here. On the left, this is anti-aliased brush, and then on the right, this is not an anti-aliased brush. You will notice even at this resolution that the no anti-alias looks crisper because there's no anti-alias. Okay, so what is anti-alias real quick? Anti-alias makes your brush strokes look smoother by adding dark gray, gray, and light gray pixels dithering off to no pixels. So we go from black and we have all this added. And that tricks the eye as we zoom out to make it seem softer and or blurrier. If we go over here to the no anti-alias, it's going to look very edgy because it goes from pixels to no pixels. And this can be an issue. Like if you're drawing at this resolution, you're going to see those edges. But the thing that you want to do is you always want to draw larger than what your final presentation of the image will be. So for example, I have a 1440 monitor right here. I just doubled the scale of my monitor for this image. So I wouldn't present this drawing at this size. And I definitely wouldn't present it at this size. Okay, I would not present an eye this size. What I would do is I would probably reduce, when I was all finished with the drawing, I would reduce it maybe even to this degree or this degree. And every time I reduce it, I'm going to lose some of the line quality, but you're also going to lose some of those edges. It's almost like the anti-aliasing tool, right? So when we are doing our line work, we want to draw in as not as big of a canvas as possible, but a much larger canvas. I would go 2 or maybe even 3 times larger than what you would want to present your work in, whether it's print or on a screen. The other thing is when you are drawing at a larger resolution, your brush tool, for example, this brush tool that I'm using, let me just add a layer here. No, I don't want to group. Oh, goodness. There we go. This brush tool that I'm using right here is 30, and there you have it, right? And you can see that that is anti-alias because it goes from dark red to light to no pixels. Okay, but now I'm using a mouse right now. If I were using a stylus with the larger pixel size for the brush, you get more definition in your strokes. So you get, kind of the darker and heavier lines, or the thinner brush strokes if you tether off on the pressure as you're writing. Okay, so let's move on to the filling thing. Now, in this new paint layer, I'm just going to call it fill, and we're going to go to our fill tool, okay? In tool options in the upper right hand corner, the icons are really small, but fill mode is going to be to contiguous region. Fill source is going to be foreground color. Use custom blending options is off. Reference, you're going to go for the middle one. Fill regions found from the merging of all layers. And the reason you want to do this is because you don't want to mess with your line work. I have my line work locked. Both of these are locked. So if I fill something, go to my color selector here. Let's just fill something in like super bright green, right? If I fill something, then it's not going to affect my line art. It's keeping it separate. And that saves you a whole bunch of time and effort in future parts of your project. The other nice thing about that is then you can go in here and you can select by color and you can mess around with your fills as well. So if I look at that fill that I just did, you can see that it goes all the way down to black pixel to the green pixel, right? There are no messy white things or gray things or light gray things. If I go over to this side, oh, common mistake there. I didn't close these lines. So I think I closed these ones right here. Let's go right here. You can see when I fill right here that it's not going to fill in these pixels here. These are not white pixels. They are gray pixels, okay? And over here, let me turn the background layer off, right? Right here, these are not white pixels. These are not pixels. And that's the huge difference, because you're not going to have a fill work that fills any pixel that's already populated with another color. So, well, let me put the background back on. How do I change my brush from anti-alias to non-anti-alias? Well, it's pretty simple. So I'm gonna go back to just gonna make a new layer here. Okay, I go to this layer and I go to my brush tool. And again, I'm using my mouse, so I'm not gonna have any pretty pressure strokes or anything like that. Let me go back to black. And up here you have your choose brush preset. You can choose whatever brush that you want. Some of them are already standardized to be pixel only, and so they have the anti-aliasing off. I'm using this brush, basic 5 size digital sketch ink. And so I select that. Everything else is normal. And then over to the left of that, you have your brush editor button with all these menu items pop up. And then right here, you have anti-alias. If I take that off, now I'm working over in this world. And if I click it on, now I'm working over in this world. Okay, so if I zoom in right here, I'm going to get those dark gray and gray. And then if I zoom in over here, I'm going to get black to no color, not black to white. And then if I fill, go to my fill tool, boom, right? Now I shouldn't have done that on this layer. I'm going to lock that layer, go to my fill layer, and then boom. And of course you can have different fill layers. Oh, and I clicked over here. The other thing is make sure that you do go in and close. Like when I originally drew this eyebrow, very hastily, mind you, this is just for this demo, there were some open gaps. Like there was a gap right here. Oh, and I see this brown, that reminds me of something else I wanted to show. So if I fill right here, it's going to fill nicely. If I had left that gap open, it would fill the whole screen. So let's say I want to stylize a little bit. I want to mess with my line color itself. A nice thing with using anti-aliasing again is, let's say I want to do some weird kind of brownish red on the stroke of the eyebrow. I can click on the eyebrow and it'll change that color too, right? And then if I turn off my line art, it's still going to be there. It's just going to be on the fill layer. So I didn't lose my line art. My line art is still there. If I turn my fill off, you can see it's still underneath. So that's a handy thing. And then my last point is you're always going to have anomalies. Like here we have this isolated pixel that was black. And when you have this, I can't zoom in any further. I just filled the eyebrow line stroke, right? And when it goes to this point where it's not adjacent to another pixel square, it's going to not do anything with that color because it doesn't know what to do. So I'm going to pick that green and I'm going to fill that. Okay. And the same thing will happen with white. If you have a chunk that it doesn't know exactly what to do, it's going to leave it in whatever color you left it in. So let's say if I wanted to make this iris green, you can see right here, this is it's not adjacent to another empty pixel, so it doesn't take that green. It doesn't go diagonally, so I'll just fill that like that. Okay, and then I guess that wouldn't be green, right? It'd be more like that would be green, and I don't know, that would be brown or something like that, or whatever, and then you can see, boom, like that. Okay. And what if I wanted, what if I changed my mind? Like, well, I want this to also be kind of irisy, so I'll do dark. And then it selects the whole thing because of all the stuff, right? And so that's when you're going to have to go in and work with your selection tool and be like, well, I just want it to be, now, even though I'm on the fill layer, I'm using it for my selection tool, and then I can fill, and it's going to cut it off so it doesn't hit the rest of the lines. Okay, and then again, so if you go way back, let me turn my alias one on. Let me do some color over here too. So this is on the anti-alias side. I'm going to do the same colors. We're going to do like bright green. For what did I do over there? This was all bright green, and then I made that brown. Use my selection tool. I'm going to do the same thing just so you can see what happens. Kind of a messy selection, but that's all right. All right, we're going to do this like a brown, I said, right? And you can see that we're getting all that ugly, gray pixels because those are not empty pixels. Okay. And when I zoom out, if I'm at, this is 50% of my drawing size, I think it looks pretty good, right? Here's 33%. That might be, if you look at the coloring, mainly that's what we're focused on. If you look at the coloring, that looks really sharp and keen. And I was able to do it in a click. That's the thing. So if I, let me select everything here. There goes our color. I can do this at a distance. If I'm just doing my base flat color for something, I can just be like, oh, I want that green. I want this thing to be that color. And then over here, this strange object is going to have that. And then this is going to match that. And look how quick this is, right? Like it's super fast for me to do all this work. And I'm not like, it is exact to the pixel. If I do that over here, right, it's not going to look as nice. From a distance, you're like, oh, I can't tell. And like, that's the whole point about using a half size. But once you go in, it's a nightmare. And we don't want nightmares. Anyways, that's a long rambling on using fill color for like basic flat coloring and Krita through anti-aliasing or not anti-aliasing. Comment if you like if you do, and thanks for watching.